Welcome to Monday. It's the 21st day of July, 2025, your Day Weather Podcast, brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at WyomingAdvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. Typical late July weather is a good way to describe what's coming our way here as we go through this week, then into the last days of July, next week into early August. The way the 500 millibar pattern or the weather patterns at 18,000 feet are starting to look exactly like they normally do as we kind of cruise here into the peak of the summer season. And that means you just kind of go based. A lot of your weather forecast is just based on climatology, which means it's going to be consistently warm. This is the warmest time of the year here over the next 4 weeks for most of you. Occasional thunderstorms as monsoon moisture comes and goes. We don't have any strong cold fronts over the course of the next couple of weeks, so we're not going to have what we had in early July. So that will allow monsoonal moisture plumes to come north. But it's not continuous flow of moisture. There's a flow of moisture, there's a gap with dry air, then there's another flow. We kind of go back and forth like that and will well into the month of August. Now on Friday, we talked about this kind of unique situation where we could have an enhanced coverage of thunderstorms on the Front Range and high plains on Wednesday. Those are conditions that are still in the cards. We'll show you that here in a moment. And we do see some drier air this weekend, kind of rotating in before the next plume of moisture arrives early to mid next week. Now let's rewind a little bit and go back to Friday. We did have some big thunderstorms, really towering thunderstorms over parts of Wyoming, South Dakota, Montana, and Nebraska down into Colorado. These were large thunderstorms you could see long distances from. This near Sabile Canyon along Highway 34 west of Wheatland. Now, I can attest to this particular thunderstorm you're seeing here. It blew up between Douglas and Lusk. And I was driving along Highway 1820 Friday evening, and I can attest to the ferocity of that thunderstorm with the heavy rain and the hail and the strong gusty winds. The Wheatland area continues to be missed. That's all it can muster around the Wheatland area Friday afternoon, while bigger rain-producing thunderstorms were found elsewhere, even all the way back into western Wyoming in the Tetons. And there's a good shot of some of the thunderstorms and the clouds that we saw with those thunderstorms late last week. And from Redmond, Washington, a great photo of mammatus clouds there. And what we are going to see here as we start the week is going to be just your typical setup. Warm temperatures, sunny to partly sunny skies to start the day, then clouds building in the afternoon and evening hours. Beautiful shot there of a cumulonimbus cloud developing Saturday along the Colorado Front Range. And then down in the Black Forest of Colorado, near Colorado Springs, a nice double rainbow. So as we go and see what's going to happen here as we start the new week, we're going to see more shots like this, as you'd expect this time of year. Beautiful shot there from Lake McConaughey. Nice mix of mid and low and high level clouds there from northern Wyoming late last week. And then for those of you that were around the Cheyenne area Saturday evening, we had this classic situation. We call these pop-ups, where you have clear skies and all of a sudden a thunderstorm pops up. This is your classic isolated thunderstorm, brief, producing some rain, a rainbow, a little bit of small hail, then gone as quickly as it formed. So as we start the new week, we're going to be looking at more beautiful shots like this. Satellite photo this morning. Well, we don't have our normal satellite feed. It came down over the nighttime hours. So we're taking a look at the eastern perspective, but you can see monsoonal moisture down here, some thunderstorms in the Midwest and the northern plains. There's a trough of low pressure that's going to stall up here in the Pacific Northwest. So we have the high pressure ridge around that high. There you can see that. That low is just going to settle into Washington and Oregon and sit there. It's not going to come crash the party. It's going to be kind of stagnant. So we've got the flow of air around the high and around the low, bringing monsoonal moisture northward into the region. So the subtropical moisture is in place today. and the white and the green areas show where the thunderstorms are going to be. And we're going to have some strong thunderstorms up here along the Montana-Wyoming border, out here on the plains. If you look here, there's a little bit of drier air, so there's going to be kind of a slot where the thunderstorms aren't going to be very prevalent today right here. But along and east of the divide, down into the southern Rockies, a little bit further east out into the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles, Kansas and parts of central Nebraska, you'll have a busy afternoon. And there's your yellow and green areas highlighting the risk of the stronger thunderstorms today. Tomorrow, kind of a similar situation, although the moisture is a little bit further west, but same thing. Going to see another area of showers and thunderstorms in southern Montana and northern Wyoming, getting into the Dakotas, and plenty of thunderstorms along and east of the Continental Divide in Colorado, Kansas, down into New Mexico, all the way down, all the way here. You just can see the feed of moisture, then that ring of fire around it, then the drier air and the high pressure here. So that's where your thunderstorm threat is going to be most likely for the day on Tuesday. Now, beyond Tuesday, we talked about that notch, that area of instability, vorticity we call it, that basically has made its way all the way westward around the high and will be into Colorado and northern New Mexico by Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. So it doesn't look like on the map, but we do have a pocket of colder air aloft right here that'll be in eastern Colorado during the day on Wednesday. Then it's going to go north and east around the high, so making a long trip around. But as it visits eastern Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, western Kansas, western Nebraska, a pocket of air aloft that's just a little bit colder, a good surge of subtropical moisture along with it, and daytime heating, you're going to get a very active afternoon on Wednesday. So here's what we call that vorticity, the spinning air, counterclockwise spinning air. That is right here. This is by Wednesday morning, then it's going to slowly rotate like this. So along the edges of this and underneath of this and out ahead of it, you're going to see the showers and thunderstorms. And there by Wednesday noontime on Mountain Time, you can see the deeper subtropical moistures in place. So it's going to be a busy Wednesday in these areas with the darker colors, the brighter colors of the more active showers and thunderstorms. And then the Storm Prediction Center is seeing it as well. So right along the Front Range here, I'm expanding that area. And I think it may even, we'll just probably want to connect these two right here. Heavy rain producing and hail producing thunderstorms on Wednesday in some locations. Then as we get into Friday, that little notch is out here now. It's headed towards the Great Lakes. And we're basically back into a typical late July regime where this area of the country is dominated by high pressure. And we just kind of go through the motions of a typical summer pattern. This is the drier air that comes in later in the week. So on Friday and into the weekend, we get some drier air that comes on in. The better moisture heads out into the plains. So for a lot of the Intermountain West and the Western High Plains, the thunderstorms don't go away, but they're going to be more active here on the margins and in the white and the green in these areas here. But this drier air on Friday expands and by Sunday comes in. So Friday through the weekend, a decrease, not an elimination, but a decrease in the thunderstorm coverage across the area. However, by Tuesday of next week, this plume the dry plume starts to fizzle out a little bit, subtropical moisture starts to return, and by Wednesday of next week, remember the white areas, there's plenty of moisture in the white areas. It doesn't have to be green. So we've got a lot of subtropical moisture covering a lot of real estate again. So right at the end of July, into the first couple of days of August, that's the next bigger, larger plume, and it will be a bigger, larger plume of subtropical moisture for the west, and then thunderstorm coverage will start to increase again after a lull this weekend. Have yourself a good Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.